Chachi!
Recording live from three locations. This is Pass the Rock. I'm Patrick, and as always, I'm joined by two great men. Caesar, a.k.a. LCs.
I in fact do not love Chachi. I'm sorry.
And Jacob, a.k.a. Bethke.
I just appreciated that's a reference of a reference that is eventually going to go over the head of many. It already probably does go over the head of so many people.
It's the kind of thing like why you have genius.com for rap lyrics so that you can just immediately find out what the heck they're even talking about.
Trying to tell some kid to Google Chachi, I just don't know what they would even think about. They'd be like, what the fuck is a Chachi?
If you start with the Joni Loves, Google will fill it in for them, so it's fine.
That is very true. Even Joni, though, is not necessarily like a very common name anymore.
No, but I think you get it close enough that the algorithm will help you out. I
feel like Joni will also make a comeback eventually for names, if it hasn't already.
It could. It's not a bad one. Yeah. Yeah. So
Chachi, I don't know about. Chachi, I have my doubts on Chachi.
Yeah, that one's a dead name.
Was that an actual name or was that just like a nickname? I'm not sure.
He was maybe a last name. I mean, you have to remember that we're referencing a movie that happened when we were kids.
The sequel or the spinoff of Happy Days.
I definitely did not watch the sequel to Happy Days or spinoff of Happy Days. I didn't
even know they had a spinoff.
I just remember what was the old timey channel?
TV Land.
TV Land, yes. TV Land was a thing, and then my mom would make me watch it randomly, and I was just like, sick. The fonts. So eventually I'll understand what that's like when I show my kids dodgeball, and they're like, I don't give a fuck. And I'm like, sick.
But you should. But here's why. Yeah. Well, I hope y'all had a good Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir.
Watched some football. I actually went and did a Korean barbecue on Thanksgiving, which was awesome.
Hey,
yeah. Was it busier at Korean barbecue?
It was not busy. I mean, there were plenty of people there, but it wasn't like lines out the door.
Crazy.
But I don't know if we hit it at the right time or what. But
Carrollton.
Yeah.
Which spot in Carrollton?
Jen.
Yeah.
Dallas people, non-Dallas people, Carrollton is the place for your
Asian food.
Yeah, any great Asian food you want, Carrollton, Texas.
I should shout out. There's a nice little burgeoning spot at the old mall. It's still technically a mall in Louisville. Like a whole strip of slamming good spots, including a Korean corn dog place.
Holding down the fort for the last 5 years.
Wild,
yeah.
Wild I've ever seen.
Yeah, on top of food, we also watched plenty of sports. We'll get to much of it. Reminder: if you didn't see our last week's episode, we lost the recording of me and Caesar talking about football. So we're gonna start things off pretty quickly about letting him give you some things you missed out on.
All right. So let's just talk about some of the things that happened on Thanksgiving football. But before that, we're going to talk about the video that prefaced this entire episode, and that was the Philadelphia Eagles against the Kansas City Chiefs in what was a sloppy, ugly Monday Night Football game. I just wanted to say that, first and foremost, you gentlemen were right in calling that the Eagles would win that game. I had no faith, especially after that first half. And the fact that the Chiefs were kept scoreless throughout the second half, and the Eagles somehow bumblefucked their way into a victory. If you just looked at if you're the type of person who just looks at the box score, if you look at just the numbers, you're gonna ask yourself, how in the hell did Philadelphia win that game? They were outganging it. I believe they lost the turnover battle. I believe that they also had the same number of penalties as the Chiefs. Clearly, they were outgained in over almost every conceivable metric except the final metric. It's the scoreboard. 21-17. Incredible thing to watch. It did not alleviate any of the feelings that you might have had as an Eagles fan for losing the Super Bowl, but it helped a little bit. See, we can beat these guys. It's not the same team. It's not the same team from the Super Bowl by any means. and it doesn't replace the fact that you lost the Super Bowl, but it just kind of it's like a little Band-Aid on the wound, right? Now let's talk about Thanksgiving, gentlemen. You two had a pretty good Thanksgiving based on the results that benefited your team one way or another. Maybe. Listen, Patrick. Yet Detroit Lions lost. It's not my fault that they did not. The Vikings did not capitalize on that on Monday night, on this past Monday night. But they got the help that they needed. The Detroit Lions went in. Sorry, they were at home. They had all the momentum going. This is a Green Bay team that's young, inexperienced, has had a lot of up and downs. And they just straight up beat the Detroit Lions. If there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it, it was a clean victory. There's no question that Green Bay was the better team that day. It didn't help that Jared Goff reverted back to a pumpkin like he used to be back in his early Rams days. And it seemingly doesn't matter because they still are atop the NFC North, but the Green Bay Packers are now in a position to challenge the Minnesota Vikings for that final playoff seed. So there's a lot of good in that game if you are a believer in Jordan Love. Like, he looks like he's making progress to being a good quality quarterback, and it's going to be infuriating if he just becomes an all-pro, because that means they're 3 for 3.
Yeah,
Favre, Rodgers, Love. Like, that's
I don't
just
think
not
that's
fair.
actually happening, but who knows? It could.
Takes time. What about Jack
he's
Harlow?
Been progressing the last couple of games.
Do we get a halftime report on Jack Harlow?
Let's talk about. Look.
He came out of a
TP
looking
the second
cut.
I saw his stage.
Didn't see a second of that.
Yeah. So for
that
those who missed it,
so you don't know what's popping?
It's fair.
I only am aware of Jack Harlow because I think he was on like a Donda 2 leak or something, maybe. Does that sound right?
Yeah, he probably was. If you've heard the "What's Poppin'" song that they play on commercials or on sports games,
I'm sure I have.
It's new whip just popped in, Sports Center top 10. What did tell me Caesar? New crib was popping. He's a Drake club. Long story short, he's a Drake club.
White Drake.
Yeah, but like in a worse,
basically.
but worse.
Yeah,
worse.
No,
but he's
so
not.
far.
But he's not funny, so he's not Lil Dicky.
No.
Although he was
in
Lil Dicky's TV show. Yeah, he was on Lil Dicky's show actually.
He's kind of so
actually pretty funny on there. Yeah, he was on Dave, and his cameo is actually pretty funny. Kind of freaky, just like
that show's intending to be off-putting sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah, he was very off-putting in that show, but just in terms of the performance, if you were like me and you saw the moment that he popped out of that little tent, you're like, nope, this is stupid, and change the channel. I don't blame you, because I was like, I'm not watching this.
Was it like the blue concussion tent? Did they roll that out to midfield and then pop out of that?
Basically,
it was like a blue concussion tent on steroids.
It was a very simple performance, and then when you get to the second game halftime performance, it's quite a juxtaposition.
Indeed. Yeah, and we'll get to Dolly Parton's. Although I didn't actually get to watch that one in real time. I had to go back and watch it over on Twitter. Yeah.
Well, Dolly Parton and the Dallas Cowboys put on quite a spectacle as per the usual.
Yeah, I saw the memes. Yeah, we'll get there.
Actually, we'll get there right now because other than that, I don't really have anything else to say on the Lions Packers, except that the NFC North just got a little bit more interesting going forward.
I think I would argue that it got less interesting because you kind of see that there's no one in that division that you should be really too concerned with long term. But
I mean, just for the playoff hunt.
As far as who's going to get in, and maybe even seeding. I mean, the Cowboys are still hoping the Lions lose some more games. So
Peckerheads have a good shot at coming back, right? Decent shot now.
I mean, they're in the hunt.
The remaining schedule is not that difficult. The remaining schedule, the most difficult opponent I believe that they have in terms of record is the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's this week.
Fucking Peckerheads.
But this isn't the Kansas City Chiefs of old.
I need them to be bad.
They'll do like the Vikings will do, and they'll win 2 or 3 in a row, and then lose 2 or 3 in a row. It'll be fine. It'll all even out. We're all kind of mid.
The denial.
Yeah. No, that's mid is the theme of the week for football news, right?
I think I gave y'all one day of optimism where I was like, here's the path to us possibly winning this division. And then I watched some more football.
Well, listen to this schedule. Listen to this schedule for the Green Bay Packers. So Sunday they have the primetime Sunday night game against the Chiefs, and then they have the New York Giants on Monday Night Football, which I hope nobody tunes in to watch that game.
Hey man,
Tampa Bay.
Danny DeVito.
You have Tampa Bay Rookie of the Year. Watch out, CJ Stroud. I don't even know if he's actually a rookie or not.
I think he would be.
I don't know either.
I think he would be classified as a rookie for playing.
Yeah, I think he's. I don't know. I haven't heard him be referred to as a rookie. So, but we'll see. But yeah, this is the schedule: Giants, Bucks, at Carolina, at Minnesota, and finishes off against Chicago. So at worst, right?
Yeah, damn. The Peckerheads are about to sneak into the playoffs.
They can finish 9-8. They have a real chance of finishing 9-8 with their two losses potentially being the Chiefs and the Vikings. But they can also probably beat the Vikings if we have another performance the Minnesota Vikings have.
Jordan Love's gonna be running for his life, and he doesn't have Justin Fields' legs.
He still has legs though. You know. Let's see, what kind of legs does he have? We'll look at this up. We'll look this up later. But
are you looking at
we'll
pictures
talk about the Vikings in a second. Yeah, you're damn right.
I need to see those games.
All right.
4.7 40 time. So not the fastest guy, but definitely not slow either. But anyway, let's go on with the rest of the Thanksgiving slate. The Dallas Cowboys destroyed the Washington Commies in what was not a very competitive game whatsoever. Everything that I thought would happen in that game kind of did happen, because there was always the threat of like, hey, this is one of the worst pass blocking lines in all of football, and Sam Howell just so happens to hang on to the ball all goddamn day. And what happened? He got sacked 4 times. He was relentlessly pressured all game long. And Dallas just showed that they beat up on bad teams.
Well, Sam Howell made history. He made NFL history.
He did.
I
was really banking on that last week. I was like, yeah.
He threw a pick six to DeRon Bland, number 6 on the year.
Oh, that's right.
Making history Bland.
It's cool that the 6th one is the one that's like the most ridiculous return of all of them. Like, he had no business scoring a touchdown on that.
But they're almost always the same route, dude.
But usually it's like he's catching that with like literally no one between him and the end zone when he gets it. Mm-hmm. He had to make some moves. He made it happen. I don't know. It was awesome.
He made it happen. DeRon Bland has a special talent for not just finding the ball, but making plays after he gets to the ball. So
smart dude. For what he lacks physically, he makes up for it a lot with his ability to play the actual.
I don't remember.
I don't remember
who said it, but I heard someone intimating that basically like whatever Cowboy scouts had found him originally, kind of like did whatever it took to keep him quiet, even within the organization. Of like, we don't want anyone to know that we actually know who this kid is and we like him.
Oh, I'd imagine that's fucking routine, because that's also a good way to get a promotion.
He did like 3 or 4 years at like an FCS school. Like he was.
He bounced a bit. Yeah, he was like up in North Cal. He was up. Yeah, it's up in North Cal where he did all his.
I think it was Fresno State or something.
He was at so he was at Sacramento State, and then he transferred over to
Fresno State. Yeah, but to North Cal. Yeah.
Yeah,
he was in North Cal. I mean,
that's a great story, and it's hilarious because he wasn't supposed to be there. You know, that's Trayvon Diggs' spot, basically.
And before that, Jordan Lewis got hurt, and he stepped up into that role.
Yeah, last year, really, the Jordan Lewis injury allowed Bland to actually play minutes, because he looked nice, and like it was one of those things where it was almost instant. Like I think the first preseason he had, it was like, oh shit, this guy's really good. But preseason, it's like, what the fuck does this matter? Then obviously he actually got to play towards the end of that season, and we were like, okay. And then this year it was like, oh well, fuck it, This year it feels like it's a dream.
Yeah, and for those who may have any doubts about DeRon Bland in general, just listen to this. last year he only started 8 games, right? He still played the full season, but only officially logged in 8 starts. Had 5 interceptions. This year, in 11 games, 9 starts, 7 interceptions, and counting. Like, he is legitimately now, with the possibility of Myles Garrett probably not being able to finish the season out. We'll see what happens with that. He might actually be the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year.
I think he has
if he keeps locking up.
I think.
How do you not? Yeah,
because of what that. It's not just that like what that play is as a single play. Like, it also just what it does to every game where you get one of those. It's such a swing.
I love it. I love the idea of that. It scares me for 2 reasons. Not that they're logical reasons, they're fan reasons probably. It scares me because now I got to take DeRon Bland's contract into that, the future contract into consideration here, where it's
that's fair.
You know what I mean? And then the 2 part, there's another Dallas Cowboy that might like to be a defensive player of the year.
And I wouldn't say that. I have to admit that I am in a way biased towards that happening, but I still think DeRon Bland should get it.
Hey, listen, if a Dallas Cowboys player wins Defensive Player of the Year, we were not technically wrong in predicting it. We're just wrong in predicting which one.
Yeah, I grabbed the wrong one for the 2nd year in a row. I didn't get it right guessing this guy. Even though he's the best, player in football, he can't win Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, then you get into the holding call thing. Like, do you want to get into all of that drama?
Myles Garrett definitely has some things to say about all that.
So
yeah, I was gonna say, but yeah, DeRon Bland made history, and he only added up to what makes the Cowboys a big threat to anybody playing them. And it's that you got a defensive player who can score on you at any time in the game. So
I didn't do this because this happens on a lot of the stuff I listen to, and I don't want to steal every single thing that I hear. But often they go through, the Romo Nance audio, and the call in the pick 6 was great, and then Romo just immediately just hops in with, "What a great call, Jim."
I'm tired of Romo the analyst. He was good his first 2 years. I'm tired of him now.
But he's also really funny to pick apart because
those guys getting the Thanksgiving Day thing is really great for Cowboys fans though, because it's propaganda hour really.
Yeah, and
Jim Nance is great at hiding it, but that's why he delivered a great call. It comes out when the Cowboys score touchdowns or do big plays. That's when you can tell Jim Nance has got a little extra love for the team. You know what I mean? It's just right there that you notice it. And then obviously Romo, it's an easy tie.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the theories out there that Romo getting that job was so that he wouldn't go play somewhere else. So
yeah, I mean, who knows, man? But eventually Tom Brady will enjoy that role.
There are plenty of rumors about Romo. Going
I thought
to
Tom Brady was on Fox,
and then all of a sudden, Romo's the highest paid analyst in the league.
I actually have a picture someone made of Tony Romo rolling a blunt with a grill and drinking out of a double cup.
Oh, I need to see that. If you can find it, let me see that.
I might have kept that. Oh, that one's
but just some more highlights. Dak had yet another great game. He's been really on fire the last couple of weeks, really, since I want to say 4 weeks ago, there was some doubts about this offense and Dak's performance, and since then he has stepped it up to just insane production numbers, and so we'll see if he can keep that going. Yeah, and we'll go into the preview.
You do have to bring up who they were playing. I mean, they were still doing it, but you do have to bring up.
They're still doing it. Yeah, I mean, you can only play who's in front of you, right? I shouldn't be giving the Cowboys that kind of grace since I was not afforded that last year as an Eagles fan, but that's understandable. Because, all is fair in love and war. But objectively speaking, regardless of who you are playing, right, you still have to put up these numbers. Not everybody can put up these numbers. So Dak's putting it up. We'll see if he can continue on now that the Cowboys are about to hit the rough part of their schedule, starting with the Seahawks. However, that Seahawks game may not be as tough as it once looked to be, because they're spiraling out of control. But after that, I mean, you got the Bills, you have the Eagles. It's escaping me. You're going to have the Detroit Lions, who may have a lot to prove in that game, so they might go all out as far as we know.
Lions might be fucking around and needing to play for something now.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's continue on with the final. Let's talk a little bit about the final Thanksgiving game that I'm not going to lie to you guys. I did not watch that after clearly looked like the San Francisco 49ers had that in control almost immediately. I mean, I don't know what to say about this one.
Big
Seattle,
brother game from them.
Another big brother game.
Can you
They
imagine
just
if the
absolutely
Panthers had competent ownership and didn't just hand the 49ers McCaffrey? I think that, and I didn't trust it just because I don't ever trust him to not be hurt, but you know that every time he's out there, he's just going to, he's ridiculous.
Yeah, McCaffrey he went off on one, man. He, 19 carries, 114 yards, 2 TDs. In the air, he contributed, 5 for 25. This run game for the San Francisco 49ers when McCaffrey's available, right? It's just so hard to stop. It's so multiple in the threats that they have because you don't just have Christian McCaffrey you got to worry about, but then you also have the threat of Deebo Samuel and the jet sweeps and, designed run plays for him as well. Elijah Mitchell is not a bad backup for the San Francisco 49ers either. Listen, to Brock Purdy, he didn't really have to do too much. He had some pretty pedestrian numbers, 21 of 30, 200-ish yards, and a touchdown. He didn't have to do anything because you have such a dominant run game.
He did what he has to do.
Yeah, he did what he has to do. And then on the defensive side, the 49ers, I mean, let's be real. Geno Smith's been struggling lately. That offensive line for the Seattle Seahawks hasn't been great. That run game hasn't been great the last couple weeks. They just ran into a buzzsaw. And it kind of took away from any sort of entertainment value this game had. I mean, it was 24-3 at halftime. There was really no reason to watch the rest of the game. So I didn't watch the rest of that game. I did see some highlights, but there wasn't much to consume in this game. The only thing I will say just about that performance leading into this week, and not to spoil the preview of the later part of this segment, is that I have a genuine nervousness about this game. In that run game, specifically of the San Francisco 49ers, because they're going to tire you out, and the defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles continues to get worn down as the season goes, and that's a little bit concerning. But we'll talk about that later. Right now, we are going to recap the games that were this previous week, starting with the Minnesota Vikings. We already kind of touched on the Cowboys since they were kind of in that little weird Thanksgiving part. So, let's talk about one of the worst games that I have seen all year long, courtesy of the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. Holy shit, man. If you had a touchdown anytime bet going in this game, you were losing your goddamn mind. Because it was a field goal fest. There was just... I don't know what to say. I mean, the Chicago Bears couldn't get anything going on offense. They really never did get anything going on offense. Courtesy of, or proof of 4 field goals is all they could generate. Minnesota, they could move the ball. They just could not stop the interceptions from happening. 2 of those were not Josh Dobbs' fault, in my opinion. They hit the receivers in the hands. It just so happened to bounce up in the air.
The amount of other balls that should have been intercepted counteracts the he was not good.
Yeah, he was not good.
There's no way to sugarcoat
He was not good.
He was not good.
He was not good, but he didn't get any help either. Let's be real. There was just a bad performance all around by the Vikings on offense. At least when it came to finishing off the drives. Their defense came in and they did work. I mean, not that the Chicago Bears are world beaters by any means, but you do have a genuine threat on the outside in DJ Moore. And when Justin Fields is playing to his talent, which is not often, but when he does, he's a very hard person to contain, whether it's through the air or on the ground, but really specifically on the ground is where his talent shined. And I mean, he was struggling all game, and it didn't seem to matter because they managed to get enough field goals to win the game where only 1 touchdown was scored. If you told me, yeah, the Chicago Bears are going to win this game, not score a touchdown, and the team they played scores a touchdown, there's no, you're lying. That's not happening. This Bears team is not capable of overcoming just settling for field goals. And they just so happened to catch Minnesota on what was probably the worst game that they played all year.
It's up there. The beginning of the season, we were turnover machines also. So there were several games where we turned it over 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, but at least you produce more points than 10. I think that's the lowest output. Yeah, that was the lowest output the Vikings had all year.
Yeah, it was rough, and there's some. It's hard to get upset with the defense that holds the Bears to whatever points, but it's still the Bears, so I can get a little bit upset on some third downs where you have him wrapped up and he gets out like that. That just can't happen. And then, of course, there's the question of play calling there in the end where all of a sudden Flores is like, we're just going to start dropping back, even though running at him has been working this whole game mostly.
Yeah, Justin Fields is not very good against the blitz. You would think that somebody who can improvise with their legs could account for that unblocked man, but he's not really consistent at it, at least not from what I've seen. And so I don't know, man. Brian Flores has been really good all year, and for his play calling,
he's turned around the defense quite a bit.
For what he's been asked to work with, I mean, he's been a phenomenal hire. And if you can just build more to what he wants to do defensively from a personnel standpoint, you have a really bright future, especially with Kevin O'Connell as the head coach. Who I'm kind of a believer in him now. I wasn't so much last year, despite the 13-4 record. This year, I'm more of a believer just because I feel like he has less to work with, and he's just I could see him do more. I'm seeing him do more with less. It may not be resulting in wins, but the process is what I appreciate, at least.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you're not seeing it looks easy when you have Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson out there. It's a little different when you're running out in 2s and 3s and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, let's with that said, let's go ahead and go on to what was arguably the best game of the week that week. From a quality standpoint, the Philadelphia Eagles defeat the Buffalo Bills 37-34 in an overtime thriller. Fellas, let me tell you about this. All right, this game, if you had attached like a heart monitor to me, if you attached every conceivable thing to measure my stress levels, my heart rate, anything and everything, you would just see a graph of this, just spikes all over the place. One, for the first half of frustration, that was some of the ugliest football I have seen the Eagles play all year. Jalen Hurts had arguably his worst game in the first half, only produced a quarterback rating or a passer rating of 7. He had 33 yards entering the third quarter. Like, the only production that the Eagles had was a tush push, right? For the love of God. We could not stop Josh Allen. This man was on a heater, a nuclear heater. All right? No quarterback all year. Just so you're aware, no quarterback all year has thrown for over 330 yards and rushed for over 80 yards this season, except for one guy, and it happened to be Josh Allen. This was the one Josh Allen game where he was not imploding. Yes, he had it in by James Bradbury. It was a great play by James Bradbury. Josh Allen is not the reason the Bills lost. Sometimes he can be a turnover machine and be the reason the team loses. This was not his fault. The Eagles, these last 4 games, have entered the second half trailing by double digits. In 3 state games, I believe, they have been outgained. And I believe they've lost a turnover battle in total across these 3 games. And somehow, someway, through some fucking voodoo, devil worshipping magic, pull a win out their ass that you can't explain unless you watch the game yourself. The defense still allowed the Buffalo Bills to score, I believe, 16 points in the second half. But the offense managed to tie up the Buffalo Bills. And at one point, they did have the lead. They had a 28-24 lead. And then, gentlemen, one of my favorite kicks of all time. It's 28-28. Buffalo Bills go down. They take the lead with a field goal. The Philadelphia Eagles, with plenty of time left, have Jalen Hurts lead the offense down the field. And then what happens? 2 straight false start penalties from the center, Jason Kelce. I don't know how you get 2 straight false starts from your center. Pushes them back.
Well, you know, he's young, he's new, he's inexperienced. Oh.
Yes, Patrick?
Well, you know, he's young, he's new, he's inexperienced.
Yes, the 13-year vet. But you do this. If you look at the broadcast, you know, they have the little red line that says where they should do the field goal from, right? Like the broadcast predictions of like, hey, this is the target area of where you want to kick the ball, which was about 45 yards. This, if you know, was a 59-yard field goal in the rain, terrible conditions. If you just looked at the game aesthetically, that looked like a giant mess. The field was bad. Apparently, Temple University had played there the night before, so the field wasn't exactly in great condition. And Jake the Make Elliott drills a 59-yarder, and if you look back at that replay, it did go in at an angle, but distance-wise, he probably could have made that from like 63 or 64 yards. Ties the game into overtime. Except, this is where Sean McDermott, I think you're about to lose your job, buddy. You have 20 seconds and a timeout. Your quarterback arguably has the strongest arm in all of football. If not, he's in the top 3. And you choose to go into overtime. That is a coward's choice. You should have tried to go down the middle of the field, somehow, some way, and try to get a kick of your own off with time expired. That's what you should play for. What does Sean McDermott do? He's like, no, let's fuck it. We're going to go into overtime and see if we can win it there. You settle for a field goal. And what happens? Jalen Hurts does it again. Gentlemen, Jalen Hurts did it again. I don't fucking know how the Eagles pulled out another come-from-behind win. He leads the drive down into the red zone. He got some great plays from DeAndre Swift, Devontae Smith. He himself with his legs, and he just calls his own number. You look at the replay of that play. He definitely checks into a run call, calls his own number, takes it up the middle for a QB draw that has not been working well all year for the game-winning touchdown. Boy, was I screaming from the top of my lungs in excitement. Philadelphia, I'm tired of you doing this to me. I don't know if you've seen this meme, gentlemen, but it's the Philadelphia Eagles logo. And on the bottom, there's 3 lines. The first line is, boy, I'm excited my favorite team is playing today. One huge line that says, oh my gosh, I'm going to off myself. And then a very small line that says, oh yay, we won. That's what that felt like watching that game. Fuck, that was a great game. Did you guys have anything that you wanted to say about that game? The performances of either team? I don't want to just be me just glazing the Eagles for.
Well, you get a little extra because of last week anyway, so it's fine. The only thing that I wanted to bring up that isn't an Eagles factor, and it's not to be a hater, it's just I think you did that angle thoroughly. The Billiards had a very critical play, and it was a moment in the game where it kind of helped me show my girlfriend why I love the little things about watching sports that if you really are watching, you see. So I don't know exactly whose fault it was, to be fair, but there was to go up 31-28. The Bills missed a pass downfield. Basically, Slay had been beaten. The receiver goes towards the out. Josh Allen throws it to the end.
No,
right? Or the seam or whatever, right? What? Yeah, whatever. Oh, yeah. The other way around. So this moment's an interesting one. The receiver's frustrated. A lot of interesting stuff, right? So they go to the sideline. You see this after the field goal's already been made. You see a very interesting voice of reason. Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs.
Who walks up to this receiver. I already forgot his name again.
Gabe Davis.
Gabe Davis. And he walks up to this guy, and he's trying to be reasonable. He's like, hey, and you can tell. He's like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And the guy just looks at him very firmly, kind of comes back. Not like in an angry way, just kind of states his side of it, right? Because it's an option route. So I'm sure he's saying that the read was he did the right thing and that Josh did the wrong thing. And he explains himself, and the only reaction he gets from Diggs, who, like I said, genuinely seems like he's trying to be the voice of reason, is just a silent but very loud, well, damn. It's all you can see. It's very clear. It's just a, well, damn. And then it just stops. It's just done. He's just not talking anymore. And that's just the end of that. And I knew at that moment to turn the game off, Philly was going to win.
You never want Diggs being your voice of reason, probably. He's
a great
football player.
Yeah.
And he might be a Cowboy in 5 years or 4 years, but
why not this year?
I was gonna say his career would probably be done in 4 years. He's not like that young anymore.
Yeah, football careers aren't that long,
I don't think he's that.
Yeah,
old
he's
either.
30. He's 30 years old,
Yeah.
so I don't. He would not be a Cowboy at age 34 or 35.
And
Like becoming a Cowboy for the first
tell
time.
Tell that to Martavius Bryant 5 years ago.
Yeah, there's.
Receiver is a little different. Like, he might be a Cowboy this next coming year, probably, if the Bills blow it up, which I think they should. Honestly, I think the window for the team that they currently have as constructed needs to be blown up, because all this team has been, it's been built to be the team that made up for the 13 seconds. The 13 seconds. They've been haunted by that 13 seconds in the playoffs against the Chiefs for years now. And look at it. What is it amounted to? Josh Allen winless in overtime. When they put up the stat, when CBS put up the stat, like, oh yeah, Josh Allen is winless in overtime, deep down inside, I'm like, no. Oh, he's about to extend that streak, isn't he? And then they settled for that field goal. And like you said, they missed that pass to Gabe Davis. It's like, no, this is it. Run or hide, it's inevitable. Jalen Hurts is inevitable in that situation, at least this season. Maybe not early in his career because he didn't have
that is a part of the pro Eagles thing, I will say. So now I feel more comfortable. It was a game where you had the throw. There's also a really nice touchdown where he's like escaping pressure, throwing it across his body. Gets the ball right at the point where whoever the Eagles receiver, the one with the crazy name, sounds like a fucking biblical. Sounds like some Zacchaeus. That's some biblical shit right there.
Yeah. Zacchaeus, almost
looking Greek god shit. But anyway, he makes a nice little catch because the ball's there. That allowed me to have fun with it because obviously you're going to see a lot of memes. Like you'll see the salty, weird Cowboy fans that'll give you the. Guy's about to win MVP because of a bunch of tush pushes, right? A bunch of 1 yard touchdowns. But then you have a game like that where it's just.
Zacchaeus was the tax collector who was in the tree that Jesus went up and talked to, and everyone's like, "We don't talk to that motherfucker." And Jesus is like, right. "Well, I will."
There you go.
I guess and then his last name is Zacchaeus Olamide is his full name. I hope I pronounced that right. But
I see.
Yeah, no, that was a great throw. I was listening to the New Heights podcast earlier, and the way I believe they framed it was that Jalen Hurts just kind of threw it up there.
Yeah, it kind of was, but it was only at a spot where one guy would have had a shot at it. So it's not like it was a bad fucking heave. It was just a dead play, and he threw the ball in the only spot that someone could get it.
Yeah. Now my favorite throw, at least my favorite throw though, very similar type of throw, and where only the guy can go up and get it, was the touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. I don't know if you saw that, but there's one angle where you have the underneath defender trying to reach up for the ball, and Jalen Hurts has to put it just in the right spot where only Devontae Smith could get it, but not too high up, right? Because, Devontae Smith is pretty good at the 50-50 ball, but he's not the tallest guy in the world. He's only about 5'11", 6 feet. And so Hurts had to put that perfectly, and then they showed an angle from the side or like a corner view. Devontae Smith kind of had to contort himself in midair to adjust to that ball while still trying to get as much air as possible. That was probably my favorite throw of Jalen Hurts in that game. And I don't know, it was just a tale of two halves. This Eagles team is just really bizarre, man. It's really bizarre. I've heard a lot of like doubters and Eagles haters try to compare this team to last year's Minnesota team because of the point differential, but it's different because the Eagles are doing this against high levels of competition week in and week out, where in Minnesota they had like the one really big win against Buffalo and then not a whole lot of other impressive wins on the resume from what I can remember. Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, if you remember like a big time win outside of the Buffalo game. Throw it in at any time. But this team has been really impressive in that, hey, they went, they beat the Miami Dolphins. Then they had Washington right before they had Dallas. They beat Dallas. You could argue that Dallas should have won that game. I'd argue Dallas probably should have won that game, but things happened in the favor of the Eagles in that game. Kansas City. You can argue Kansas City should have won that game. Philadelphia stole that game somehow. And in this one, they just outplayed Buffalo in the second half. They were outplayed completely in the first half. It was a tale of two halves, and it just led to a win in overtime. I'm just going to take it for when I can get it. I've never seen the Eagles level of success like this. I started watching them when they were on that early playoff run with McNabb, 2002, 2003, 2004. However, they never started 10-1 back-to-back seasons. And there was never this stable sense of this is a complete team. Those McNabb teams did not have a receiver until T.O., and that only lasted a season and a half.
All right, I got to bring you back in because we're on 30 minutes of
you're right. Fly
Eagles fly now.
Yeah. Now, no, what I'm going to say,
and then
I'm going to say
McNabb era.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying I want to take this time to appreciate what I'm getting because I don't know if I'll ever get it again.
And I'm hoping you won't, so I'm glad.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Now, let's continue on, gentlemen, with some news. First and foremost, gentlemen, I had a really good fucking laugh about this. And it's the news that is the Carolina Panthers getting rid of their coaching staff. Or 3 members of the coaching staff after 11 games. Owner David Tepper. Man, he is on one. He is now the worst owner in the NFL. If there was an alert, a bell sound that we had on the soundboard, I would be like, "Ring it, Patrick." But just in your heads, play it in your own minds to our audience. This guy fires Frank Reich because the offense is bad. Talks about at his press conference how they could have drafted C.J. Stroud with the 2nd overall pick before trading up for the 1st overall pick because they're like, oh, well, we know that Bryce Young is going to go to Houston because that's who they want. Motherfucker, you traded for the 1st overall pick. You told your GM, go get the 1st overall pick, and then you told your GM and coaches, go get Bryce Young, a historically small prospect at quarterback. And now you're going to come up to the podium and lie to everybody's face that you wanted C.J. Stroud. If I was a Panthers fan, I would be losing it. But as a non-Panthers fan, this is hysterical levels of gaslighting. This is incredible.
The NFL owners only approve selling teams to shitty owners. Convince me otherwise. Is there a new owner that's done good, or am I just being biased?
The Sixers owner probably has some chance to either fuck up or be good. The one who bought the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, Commies, I don't have faith in, but you're right. I'll give him. He needs more time.
He needs more time. But he's already better than his previous, or than the previous owner, because the bar was in hell in Washington. As long as he's not
this is why the NFL is so mid. It's because Jerry and Bob Kraft are only letting in the fucking dickheads that they can find. They're just stuck with all the other legacy people. The Maras too. All the legacy people are just stuck together, so they can't do anything about it. But then all these new people, there was too many clever good owners in the 2000s ish era. and they just learned their lesson, and now they're only finding the biggest jackasses they can find.
Hey, more power to them for making sure that it's a club full of jackasses, because it gives us content. It gives us shit to talk about. That's not our teams.
Yeah.
But man, I feel bad for Frank Reich, Deuce Staley, and Josh McCown. It's just funny to me that those two positional coaches caught us straight for no reason.
No, they didn't catch us straight for no reason.
The head coach, but why are you now fired?
They were in on the league.
All right, no reason. No.
They were in on the league.
Okay, they were Frank Reich's boys. Yeah, and they're also Frank Reich's boys.
They're probably why we know the rumor about the controversy over the pick. It's probably one of those two, if not both, in some capacity.
Yeah, and here's the thing: it doesn't. I don't know if Carolina fires Frank Reich if Houston is doing bad, but they're not. They look and they're like, hey, we could have had that guy who. Let's be real.
Houston's got a nice little defense. They had actual skill position players for CJ Stroud.
But here's the thing:
contend with, you know what I mean? It's tough, but it's like you can't compare the two. So that's just another incompetence from the organization if that's their thinking.
But here's the thing: going into the season, nobody believed in their skill position players.
And that's fine, but they're still good, like proven ex-players, like that have established players. It's not like it's a bunch of rookies, other than Tank Dell, who's been the best, right?
Yeah.
So all the rest, it's Schultz, it's Woods from the Rams. Like you have solid guys who have been NFL players for a while.
Yeah,
it's not the barren wasteland that you have in Carolina. I mean, what's Carolina got to brag about?
True, but it's still like and Thielen.
Honestly, Thielen's probably the best thing they have going for them right now. I mean, Thielen was really useful in the early parts of the Cowboys game.
They had what was going to be a really good first-round pick next year, but now they don't.
Yeah, that's really the part that's going to sting.
Now that's the Bears' first-round pick?
That's Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. That's Marvin Harrison Jr. or Caleb Williams if the Bears trade Fields. But just to look over to your point on the skill positions in Houston, the following people have been their biggest targets. All right, Nico Collins, who we didn't really know anything about. Tank Dell, who's having a great. And
that
Tank
one
Dell,
was a lot of draft sleeper, but yeah, it was slept on.
Yeah, now Dalton Schultz, to your credit, has been really good for them. 5 touchdowns.
Rookie quarterbacks love their tight ends the most. Schultz is a perfect pacifier tight end.
And a name that you're familiar with, Noah Brown, has been pretty good.
And Noah Brown has been doing well. Yeah.
Yeah, the person who hasn't been doing too much in Houston, and probably just because he's kind of more aligned to be like the mentor figure to the wide receiver room at this point in his career, is Robert Woods. Surprisingly, he's only had about 30 catches for 300 yards, but everybody else in front of him has stepped up greatly to the benefit of the Houston Texans franchise and to CJ Stroud specifically. So you're right. Like the barren wasteland in Carolina didn't help anybody, but that is a creation of their own making. You can go back and look at all the awful moves, all the awful trades that they've made since David Tepper has joined the franchise as the owner. And it's just proof that that's just an unstable franchise, and it's going to continue this way. And you know what? It's going to benefit the next head coach who gets fired, because he's going to have himself a bag. Just like Frank Reich, who I believe is about to be making $76 million for not coaching. The man is going to get paid insane money to stay at home because the Colts and the Panthers fired him. And you know what those two franchises have in common? Is two really hands-on, insane owners. So...
Jim Irsay,
is Greg Olsen going to get the Panthers gig?
I don't know who's going to get the Panthers gig. I don't. Okay, if you are just chasing the bet, Jeff Saturday. Oh, that would be great. That would be
amazing if they called him in for the finish of the season. That would be really amazing. But no, let's be honest. They're just going to do the same thing over again because they're stupid. They're just going to be like, "Who's your OC?" Caesar, who's the Phillies OC?
Brian Johnson.
There you go. That's the new head coach.
You know what? I think so many Philadelphia
fucking watch.
So many Eagles fans would be celebrating his departure.
I'm just saying.
But that's a story for a different
Maybe
day.
They'll hire Brian Schottenheimer.
Oh my God! Nobody should be hiring that man as your head coach. Anyway, moving on to the next thing that I wanted to talk about. It is the return of Aaron Rodgers after 3 months from a torn Achilles.
They're saying he lied about it.
They activated his practice window today. His 21-day practice window has officially been activated.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it just like? Why? Like I know it's all publicity. Like there's no way he's going to actually play. You know what he's going to do, guys? This is what he's going to do because this is Aaron Rodgers. I hope he does
too. This is ESPN. This is all ESPN, just making sure that Pat McAfee's got his weekly hot button guest.
Exactly. This has all just been formulated for attention. Because let's be real, this is what's going to happen. When that window comes to its close, and it's time for Aaron Rodgers to take the field, the Jets are going to be beyond eliminated from the playoff contention. They're going to be so out. Why? Because they're playing Tim Boyle, who, if you look at what he did in college, could arguably say the most undeserving person in the entire world to be an NFL quarterback based on his college production. But Aaron wanted
the vibes are good.
And then Zach Wilson, who has enough of a sample size to prove that he is a bust.
He's a great kid.
I think he could work in another system.
Just like Darnold, huh?
Everybody gets that one until they don't work out in the second system, and then they maybe get one more, and then you don't get any more after that.
Yeah,
Stafford was already a Hall of Famer. Yeah, it's working for Goff.
Goff, yeah.
No, because Goff. Here's the thing.
Goff because he's at least serviceable. If you talk about the standard of what you need in the NFL, like you could theoretically try to build a really good defense and running game around Goff and try to do something.
And it's also not fair to say that Goff is a bust because he's played in a Super Bowl.
I was saying that it's working for him right now.
Yeah, he was saying the positive thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wentz, no.
Wentz, no. And it's not going to happen for him. To some extent, you could say, if just based on last year's tape, that playing in a new system benefited Geno, but now, second year, it's kind of coming back down to earth. But for a moment there, it looked like he finally found a home.
But Geno could also be just, mid enough to where actually in the long run, he's not that bad considering how bad quarterback hell is in the NFL.
True. Very true. But yeah, this is all just a ploy from the New York Jets, or more specifically Aaron Rodgers, because what he's going to do is like, hey, if the Jets were still in contention, I definitely would have played, but they're keeping me back. That's what's going to happen. Mark it down. He's not playing another down this year.
He might also,
and if he does,
he might also just play the I wanted to play, but then we decided that it's best for the future for me and the team if I don't go out there and risk it, even though I could.
Bro, he's ruined the future of the Jets. He's brought in Tim Boyle. He's brought in.
He's James Harden. He's
Kyrie
Irving.
Or he's helping cleanse them.
Yeah, cleanse them. Yeah, he's brought in that bozo of an offensive coordinator, who got absolutely just shit on for no reason by Sean Payton, just out of the blue.
And now that's looking great for Sean Payton, right?
Looking great for Sean Payton.
That took a slow turn. It took a very slow turn.
I'd still hold off on that a little bit.
Listen, he's turning it around.
It's not as bad, but I mean they gave up 70 points in a game, so let's not.
But if they make the playoffs,
that was still cleaning up his trash.
Let's be real.
McCarthy's team was bad. That was all Garrett's fault in retrospect because he's been so good.
There's a difference between losing games and giving up 70 points.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like if the Broncos make the playoffs, which the way the AFC is going right now, they possibly can. Like, we can laugh about the 70 points, but they still make the playoffs despite allowing 70 points, and that's going to be the storyline for them. Oh shit!
But to transition a little bit, or to step on the heels a little bit, I have a question for this week. Does Aaron Rodgers, since this game that they're going to have against Atlanta is at home, does he spend the whole game on the sidelines just playing toss with someone?
Yes. 100%.
Practicing dropbacks, playing toss, just antagonizing the Jets fans as they watch their miserable game.
100%. And you know who's going to be? It's going to be a famous Atlanta rapper who's on the sidelines. That's who's going to be playing toss with. Watch it be Quavo. Quavo's going to be at the game.
Quavo, and he's gonna go to the other sideline. He's gonna be like, I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers wants me to play catch with him.
Yes, sorry, that's what's gonna happen. Exactly.
That's
go. Because unfortunately we're not gonna have Jameis Winston in the building rapping every single word to a Ludacris song in front of Aaron Rodgers, the way that he did with Derek Carr this past week. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I love that clip.
Yes, that was definitely probably the highlight of the weekend. Jameis Winston is going to be a dirty bird next year. Calling it. Backup quarterback, starter, who knows?
I never want Jameis to leave the league. He's too fun. He's too fun of a person to not have in the NFL. Last thing that I wanted to bring up in the kind of just talking portion is I just want to give a shout out real quick to DeSean Jackson, who retired today. One of the most electric NFL receivers we've ever seen. Played for the Eagles, played for Washington, Las Vegas, and I think briefly with the Rams. Great career. This guy was really good. So that's all I have to say on that one. Unless you guys
thank you for giving me the new term to use forever for being so good and so cocky at the same time. Equal parts good and equal parts cocky, creating the DeSean Jackson.
DeSean Jackson. The infamous play of you think you cross into the end zone and you drop the ball.
It'll forever be known. Just like mossing someone is, we all know the mossing thing. The DeSean Jackson thing is the same.
Hey, DeSean Jackson did.
Synonymous.
Synonymous. What was the college team that did that this season?
There's been a few, actually. There's been a couple of times it's happened in college football this season. So.
Okay. I could have sworn there was a big name.
We're losing recipes, as the great cowboy Michael Irvin once said.
Heard of that. All right, gentlemen. Let's move on to the watch it, skip it, train wreck portion of today's episode. Patrick, you know what to do. Just say it.
But can you do it?
Train wreck.
Excellent. All righty, we're gonna do this a little bit in a different order, or rather, we're not gonna do it in a different order. For the watch it part, I'm not gonna go too into it because I'll be stepping on my own toes with the preview section. But this week there are two teams with winning records with playoff implications on the line in the watch it portion. The first one is Broncos-Texans. Broncos finding a way to win games. It's not pretty, but they're making it happen. The Texans, they're sneaky good. They could be a wild card. These two teams are battling for wild card positioning. You have the old established vet in Russell Wilson against the hot upstart rookie in CJ Stroud. What more could you possibly want? Well, I can tell you what more you could possibly want. You want two juggernauts going at it in an NFC Championship rematch of sorts. Eagles-Niners. Need I say more? Gentlemen, you know what I'm going to pick for the must-watch game, but I'm going to present this one to you guys. Which one do you think should be the more must-watch game?
You can go, Patrick. I think you're going to, if you have any crazy answers. I have a little wild card thing.
No, I think
give me a wild card.
I don't think that the Broncos are really worth watching. The Texans are kind of fun, but I'll go with that Eagles-Niners game, obviously, for the quality of both teams.
And I completely agree. I think it's almost so watchable that I don't even think it should be in the category because it's almost an expectation, right? So I think that, and I also don't care that much about Houston and the Denver Broncos, but they do sort of qualify for the same reason I picked another game, the Browns and the Rams, because Joe Flacco is probably starting his first game in Cleveland. And my propaganda, my Joe Flacco Hall of Fame campaign starts officially today. And so we will see what will happen. I'm very excited for this opportunity in Joe Flacco's career. I don't actually have any fandom of this. I just appreciate how much I like pettiness in sports. NFL fans and NBA fans are very petty and catty to each other. There's always been this NBA Hall of Fame's easy to get into. So for me, it would be really fun to see more Eli Manning types get into the Hall of Fame.
Not an NBA Hall of Fame.
So, you know what I mean? So I personally, the more Joe Flacco's, the more Eli Mannings that make it into the Hall of Fame, the better my life is.
Oh, man. All right. You know,
they only allow so many in. They're still catching up. Like, they still have so many from so long ago. They got to get in there.
Yeah.
You know, this take of yours, Becky, would land you on Sickos Committee on the on that Twitter page. But I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I don't agree that it's the most must watch, but I will watch it just because you mentioned it now.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Joe Flacco's season begins. Repent your sins.
Well, I guess I can't actually watch it faithfully because it's at the same time as Niners Eagles. But I'll dual screen it.
Yeah.
I'll dual screen. All right, let's go on to the skip it, gentlemen. There is a shit ton of mid on this week's NFL schedule. I don't know if you guys seen it, but when I look through all the games, I'm like, man, there's just not a lot of fun matchups. It's a lot of teams that are just mid against mid. And I had to pick which one's the most mid, which one's the most skippable game. And I don't know why I didn't think about this in the first place. But like, does anybody really want to watch the Carolina Panthers? Does anybody want to watch the Carolina Panthers against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I sure don't. There's nothing fun about either team. You don't even get a Baker
Mayfield revenge game, right? Doesn't Kyle Trask the quarterback now?
I
or did
don't
he just get
actually
some snaps?
know. I think he might have just gotten some snaps. Unless like Mayfield got hurt in that game. Let's see. What the
this is how unwatchable the Bucs are. We don't even know. All right, so I'm just saying, audience, this is how skippable it is. I don't even know if there is a more skippable option.
Falcons. Jets.
There's really
Falcons Jets, but they have to obviously,
Now here's the reason here's why I'm not putting the Falcons Jets in that one, because, gentlemen, that's one of the candidates for the train wreck of the week.
Heavy favorite.
Oh, yes, because there's so much that can go wrong in that game, and I would love to see it. But, back to the skip it before we go on to train wreck. Does anybody else have a candidate? Or Patrick, rather, do you have a candidate? Because you've heard what we've had to say about this one.
No, I think y'all pretty much locked it down. There's nothing too egregious.
Yeah. There's not a lot of good game. There's not a lot of great games this week, but this is the worst.
Finally got a bye.
Yeah, the late buys have just been.
Now you can rest.
Buys this year have been crazy. Yeah, it's.
Well, I don't know. Are we I think this is the last week of buys, right? Has anyone else?
Gotta be. It's gotta be done. Yeah, dude.
There's no way. The only team that's played 12 games so far. I'm looking at these records right now. I think we are.
Definitely.
That's beautiful. Just the poor little Vikings.
Yeah. Poor Vikings. The worst thing to have.
Turning the ball.
The early buy. Yeah. What sucks is to have that early week 4 bye, and then to have the now week 12 or 13 bye. Like, that is
13. Yeah.
Those are the two most egregious buys to have. The NFL needs to figure that shit out, but they won't, because they're not competent enough.
Someone's got to suck. Anyway. Someone's got to take the L, I guess.
Yep. Now, gentlemen, here are the candidates for the train wreck games of the week. Like we kind of alluded to earlier, Falcons Jets. Why is this a potential train wreck? Because one, Arthur Smith is really bad at highlighting his best players. He just treats them as decoys. And what does it amount to? A losing record. Shocker that if you just don't lean onto your best players, you're gonna lose games. Like you're doing, Arthur Smith. The hell is your problem? I say that because the guy would probably fuck up my fantasy team. He's fucking up everybody's fantasy team. But hey, like he said, my players don't care about their stats. They just care about winning, which they're not winning. So what's the next thing they got to care about, Arthur?
Well, they're kind of winning. They're the leader in the clubhouse of a terrible division. So
they're tied.
Technically,
right?
I think they're technically the leader, though.
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons are going to sneak into the playoffs undeservedly.
Maybe.
And they're going to get absolutely blown out by the Dallas Cowboys, who will find themselves in the 5 seed. Because it is the 4 and 5, right? Like, that's the matchup in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's 4 and 5.
It's all so fucked, man. I can't even remember anymore, bro. They added
2-7-3-6-4-5. Yeah.
There you go. So the Dallas Cowboys, you don't even have to look at the tape. Just show up. You're gonna beat Atlanta. Let's be real.
Desmond Ridder.
Desmond Ritter's gonna start a playoff game.
I don't know.
Taylor Heineken.
Bijan running in Cowboy Stadium. Who knows? Who knows what could happen?
Oh no, it's gonna be in Atlanta.
This is just hater vibes. I didn't ask.
Oh yeah, because they won the division, right? Yeah.
Yep.
They don't do home field.
That's even better.
Are you sure they don't do home field based on?
No, you're right. Because
no, I'm sure.
Last year,
1 through 4, all the division winners get a home field playoff
guaranteed
game.
That you got in, but
it guarantees you have a home playoff.
For some reason I thought they had fixed that, but maybe not.
No, they never fixed it because the biggest egregious case of that was when the 7-9 Seattle Seahawks beat the defending Super Bowl champion, New Orleans Saints. Beastquake. That's right. All right. Back to the train wreck. The next candidates that I have,
train wreck,
guys. Chargers. Ooh, we've established that's a train wreck franchise against a new train wreck franchise, the New England Patriots. This game has all the makings of just some ugly, dirty, freaky football that nobody wants to see, but you can't help but look at the screen anyway. All right, this is a Chargers team that finds new ways to lose, and this is a Pats team that has no idea how to win. I don't know what's gonna give in this game, but I will say this. This just feels like just the right pick for a train wreck game. Gentlemen, I'm going to give you guys the opportunities to pick. Bethke, start off. Who do you think is the most train wreck quality matchup?
No, it's easily everything that has to do with the Jets is now officially a train wreck, so they win. The Chargers, this is a get-right game, so they can look closer to the mid they always are. And, I think that's predictable, and so I feel comfortable with their approach. What is this, their fourth win? Yeah, they'll be their fifth win. Okay. Yeah. That's right. That's getting right to the mid that they deserve to be and always truly are.
Excellent points. Patrick, what do you got for me?
It's going to be tough to pick a train wreck after watching the biggest train wreck of all time on Monday night. I watched all...
It can always get worse.
I watched that whole thing. Oh, man, not much. I guess it could, but not much.
You never watched Eagles-Cowboys 6-0 game. The 6-0 game. That was the worst game I've ever seen.
That game might have been the reason why they gave us an extra playoff team, just so that there was actually shit to play for the final week.
I'll go ahead and say Chargers Pats makes the most sense.
All right, and I too will agree with Patrick on that one. Chargers Pats, just because I'm interested in seeing how the Los Angeles Chargers can lose a game. All right, finally, gentlemen, we get into the final downs of this segment. We are previewing the games this week. We're going to start off with the game that's taking place tomorrow. We are recording on a Wednesday. Tomorrow, on Thursday Night Football, we have the Dallas Cowboys at the Seattle Seahawks. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
No, the Seattle Seahawks, rather, at the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh.
This game, I 100% expect the Dallas Cowboys to dress down the Seattle Seahawks and continue to add on to the shit pile that's been growing in Seattle as the last couple of weeks. I just think across the board, I look at this matchup and I don't know where Seattle has an advantage on either side of the ball. You might say maybe the secondary, but not really. I think Jerome Bland has really solidified the secondary for the Dallas Cowboys. Linebacker, no. The Seattle Seahawks linebacking core is just not all that great. They have the shell of a future Hall of Fame linebacker leading the way. What is his name again? I'm calling him a future Hall of Fame linebacker, but I keep forgetting his name. Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner. Yeah. But it's the ghost of Bobby Wagner. They
Bobby
do have
Wagner,
a really
almost a Cowboy like 2 years ago. That's how washed he is. He's at that stage of his career.
Yeah. what was it? Jordan Brooks, I think, has been a solid linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks, but I think he's like the only one that's been really good consistently. This is just a team that like they should be better on paper, but they just aren't. They just have not been.
What's the running numbers? That's the key, right? We're talking about the Cowboys. We're talking about a Street Fighter like schedule patch that they've been in, right? You're talking about cupcake to a little bit harder to now playing what is probably first round playoff caliber team, maybe.
Well, if you're asking about the running numbers, the Seattle Seahawks as a team to this point, they average about 4.1 yards a carry. Their leading rusher has been Kenneth Walker, who's having a solid season. I think he's near the top of the rushing leaders in the NFL, although that's not saying much. Huh? Kenneth Walker?
I think he won a Heisman, or he almost won a Heisman. Michigan State. He was
in the Heisman
Michigan State player or before all of this.
Yeah. He was but he's towards the league leaders in rushing yards, which is not saying much just because for example, DeAndre Swift is third in the league in rushing, and he's only had 2 100-yard games.
Well, good. It feels like
that's
running away with the league trend because, I don't think the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, actually, McCarthy even came out and said that they realized that they weren't going to be the football team they wanted to be this year to start the season, which I think we all can see in retrospect is they couldn't actually run the ball at anybody, and that's when they changed into this more Dak-centric offense, and that's when it's been more fruitful. Now it's got to continue to be tested this way, and of course, you still need a couple of those runs like we've gotten out of Pollard, where it's not necessarily the whole thing, but we've got to get something out of him. Dowdle, you get some things out of Dowdle, but it's a very inconsistent running attack, and I'm interested to see both sides of the ball there. Is there an ability to run on Seattle, and can we stop the run? Because we've been fine, we've been better, but that's where I don't know if I trust the competition the most.
Yeah, there is definitely going to be an opportunity for the Dallas Cowboys to run on Seattle. Seattle's not a bad defense. They're not a great defense. They're just kind of in the middle. I'm sure there's some advanced statistics that might show they're good and they're really elite in some areas, and that's fine and dandy, but the eye test just doesn't pass it for me when it comes to Seattle. As far as what I said earlier about Kenneth Walker being a league leader in rushing, I was incorrect in saying that. Apologies. He is 16th in the league in rushing. So right in the middle, where this Seattle Seahawks team just so happens to be. Right in the middle. They are a middling team. They were my pick at the beginning for winning the NFC West. And Patrick, actually, before we finish this up, do you have our predictions? Let's just put this in the prediction.
I was going to say, do we want to do that or do we want to save that for...
We can just save it at this point. I think we got it.
Okay. That's fair. All right. But yeah, I had them. I had them winning the NFC West, and at one point it looked like they were challenging San Francisco. They were 6-3. Now they're 6-5. Couldn't take advantage of the 3-game losing streak that the Niners, had earlier in the year. Dallas, listen
up there for you.
Thank you very much.
This is my disgusting graphic, everybody.
I love it. It just shows us how wrong we have been. I think Becky might get the most correct. Actually, he might just win this one. If there was a contest to be had in this one,
he technically has the 2 most hilarious ones, though.
But I also, but you almost take the cake too, though, because
you picked the Jets and the
Bears. At least I had propagandist arguments. A lot of people would have picked the Jets. So that one's not that bad. That was the whole Aaron Rodgers thing.
Yeah,
the
but
Bears, I was just being egregious.
That's not how history is going to look at it.
I was just being egregious as fuck.
Yeah, no, the Giants one was terrible. Even we were telling you that was a bad idea.
I have been on the Lamar Jackson. Where's the MVP? Didn't I pick Lamar for MVP?
No, you didn't. You picked him from Offensive Player of the Year. I remember that much.
Oh, okay. And then I picked a non-quarterback just to will into existence. I think I might have said Tyreek Hill, though. Right?
Oh, no, you said Josh Allen.
Well, I fucked that up.
Oh yeah, we're all wrong on this one. so terribly wrong.
While we're here,
that's right.
We'll just roll right through.
I did argue some stupid shit this year, didn't I?
Oh
yeah.
Listen, I still believe Garrett Wilson could have been Offensive Player of the Year if Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Timmy and Caesar did worse with Calvin Ridley and Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Lamar can still win Offensive Player of the Year.
Could. He's not going to.
Oh, we were so wrong on this one too.
Well, I was kind of right. I knew the Micah thing was going to keep being an issue. I felt like his impact's just never gonna. They're not going to give it to him. He's going to be one of the best players to never win Defensive Player of the Year kind of shit.
Well, that's not a bad thing as long as he can make it up some other way.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, we're all fucking wrong on this one.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah, we didn't.
No thanks to Arthur Smith.
We didn't think about CJ Stroud.
Yeah, Stroud is definitely.
Goddamn bum.
Oh.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't know who any of these people are. I don't even know who I picked.
Yeah, there were
you
names.
Picked
Patriots corner.
There were names I've never heard
got injured during the Cowboy game.
Gonzalez, is that his name?
Yeah, that's Christian Gonzalez who got hurt. I don't know who you picked, Patrick. Who is that?
Why did I pick a corner?
Let me tell you. His name is.
God.
His name is.
What's his?
Kalijah Cansey.
There you go.
Oh, from Tampa Bay. That's right. And then I picked a linebacker for
Jack Campbell.
Lions. Jack Campbell. Listen, he has a great linebacker name, Jack
I've never
Campbell.
heard of, yeah.
That's an old school linebacking name, but he's not. I don't know if
really
he's been good at all.
wanted us to review this behavior. Saul is out. Oh, we just picked. Well, Patrick got a good one. Patrick might actually.
I could get this one, yeah, maybe.
So that's good.
Although
yeah,
I don't know whoever's coaching Houston. Is that D'Amico Ryans?
D'Amico Ryans is probably.
Ryans,
yeah. And honestly, the Colts coach good too. I mean, they've still got time. They got Minshew.
They got a little bit of window.
Yeah, I can still win it.
We all knew this one.
Dude's barely played at all, but all right, it's working.
NFL is so predictable, we know.
Is that it for the predictions? Is that the last one that you have? Or is there anything else? I'm scared to see what else you have.
I don't ever use this. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, we'll review that one more time when we get the final awards. But yeah, let's just continue the previews of Dallas and Seattle. All right. I'm just gonna go ahead and give my predictions in this game. I believe that the Dallas Cowboys will overwhelm Geno Smith, forcing him into a lot of turnovers. I think despite the fact that the Seattle Seahawks do have a really good skill position group, especially with their wide receivers, it's just not going to be enough. I don't think that offensive line of theirs has the ability to hold up against this Dallas Cowboys pass rushing unit. And DeSean Bland, he's going to take advantage of an errant throw. Listen, a lot of what creates or leads to high interception numbers in quarterbacks is not necessarily bad throws. It's just overly aggressive throws in the cases of a lot of quarterbacks. In terms of bad quarterbacks, yeah, it's a lot of bad throws. But I believe Geno Smith is an adequate NFL starter. Not a star by any means, but he's serviceable. He can get you through a season. He did that last year. But he is very aggressive in challenging tight windows. DeSean Bland loves living in those tight window situations where he's going to make and continue to make history as one of the most deadly weapons to have on the defense with the ball in his hands.
I don't know if you've heard this stat, but DeSean Bland, apparently you'd be better off just throwing the ball at the ground every time versus throwing if you look at all of his targets throughout the whole year, then you'd be better off just throwing the ball at the ground instead of throwing his way. So you'd think quarterbacks would learn just to stop throwing his way, but
I don't know who the guy is on ESPN's NFL Live show. He's like a younger former player, but he actually had a great one. And I don't know if he's the first to say it. He's the first I've heard of it. He's DeSean cover corner to throw to. Get it? DeSean.
Oh, gotta love those ESPN analyst puns. That's a good one, though. I appreciate a good pun. I'll take that one. But yeah, just to finish off my thoughts on this one, I believe that the Dallas Cowboys, they're going to put up a very similar score to what the Niners did on Seattle. I'm thinking about 31-13 might be the score in this game. Bethke, how do you feel about this matchup?
I think the Dallas Fuckboys are going to win another game and get this Philadelphia-Dallas matchup extra hyped. I think Dakota will look nice. Daddy-to-be Dak, is going to continue his, outside hold on the MVP conversations for at least another week. And I don't think this game will be a blowout because even through this little stretch, the Cowboys have started slow. They've let this thing come into being a closer game, and then the opponent has shit themselves. I don't expect Seattle to shit themselves just by the law of averages. I only selfishly watch as a Cowboys fan, so the law of averages tells me I can't possibly watch a fourth team in a row let a close game turn into a shit show because of their own fuck ups.
They're a much better opponent as well.
Yes, I don't think for the fourth straight week the Cowboys are going to meet an opponent ready to hit the fucking explode button midway through a game.
Fair enough. All right. Do you have a score prediction that you want to give?
One score game. Don't bet the don't bet anything crazier.
Don't bet the over. Heard.
Yeah, Cowboys not blowing. I don't think they'll cover, right? Well, no, they'll probably cover. It's probably not that bad.
I thought it was like 9.
Oh, they're not.
Yeah,
Then I would say they're not going to cover. I
haven't seen it in a couple days, but
you're right. I think it did get really.
I think it was 8.5 when I checked last, but
yeah, people are too probably down on Seattle, so that worries me a little bit too going into this.
With the run the Cowboys are on, that number is just going to be up. So.
Yeah, and it's a home game for us, so that's fair. But yeah, I wouldn't expect them to cover, but I do expect them to win.
And then the Cowboys get the extra 3 days before the game against Philly.
Yes, to perhaps work out and get our new linebacker situated.
Did y'all end up signing him today? I kind of didn't.
No, we're not going to find out until this weekend. That'll probably be like a Sunday morning news drop.
Well, I don't know if they let him leave. That might mean they're not going to sign him. But
Philly let him leave too. So
yeah.
No, he hasn't visited Philly today. He hasn't visited Philly just yet. He was going to visit Philly later today. Sorry.
Yeah, he already did the visit in Philly. He's already out. He did 1 day stops at both places. Okay. 2 days. Basically, if you actually want to run down to that, Philly, it's and Caesar, maybe you know this. Who was the Titans linebacker you guys signed? I forgot, and he got hurt recently. Zach Cunningham or
Mike.
Zach Cunningham, yeah.
Zach Cunningham. So it's his injury severity is sort of part of the X factor. So the Cowboys aren't necessarily interested in bringing him in as an immediate starter. They want to bring him in as a rotation linebacker, where the Eagles might actually give him a starter role if the Cunningham injury is legit. So that's, I think, what the determining factor is, other than the money and all the other stupid shit.
Yeah. Well, I think in terms of money, I think
I'm talking about state taxes and all the other stupid things that we don't need to break down.
Yeah, not just that, but I mean, he's gonna get a good chunk of money from Indianapolis anyway because nobody picked up his contract, right? So they're on the hook.
Maybe Philly's better because it's closer. We don't know. We don't know the personal thing for this dude, or maybe he wants the better title and he thinks Philly. We don't know.
Yeah,
but
there's
far as
two
the actual fit.
There's two nuggets that I want to give about his fit in terms of the teams because I did find this interesting. So, current defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts is a disciple of the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever he took over, because Shaquille Leonard, Dan Quinn, but when Matt Eberflus left the Indianapolis Colts,
also former Cowboys defensive coordinator.
Also, yes. But whenever he took over, whenever Matt Eberflus left, and Indianapolis was switching defensive coordinators, Shaquille Leonard was a great presence. However, their new defensive coordinator, who I cannot remember his name for the life of me, so I'm going to look his name up very quickly. Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley plays that cover 3 Seattle defense, made famous by the Legion of Boom. However, it is kind of outdated in a lot of aspects. Shaquille Leonard has found himself playing less and less in that system. Whether it's just a scheme fit or maybe his body's deteriorating, I'm not sure. But I'm not sure if he wants to play in that same system where he wasn't necessarily thriving and that he might find himself under Dan Quinn.
Neck issues too. Don't forget so apparently it's lingering neck issues. So if anything, maybe that gives the Cowboys some advantage. They happen to know a little thing about having a linebacker with some stinger issues.
Maybe. But if he is determining scheme fit, at least the defensive philosophies, he may want to try his hand at something that's not under the Dan Quinn tree. But if that's not an issue, then yeah, it's an equal toss up. I will say this: he does have familiarity with Nick Sirianni from their time in Indianapolis together. Obviously, they're on different sides of the ball, but there's different factors that could lead him to Philadelphia as well as to Dallas. So we'll see about that. I did also hear that he was interested in Minnesota. Weirdly enough, I'm not sure.
Dude, fan of
the pod, maybe. Maybe he wants to be the next Randall Cunningham.
Yeah, he's like, there's a really niche audience for me to jump in on here, and I can get in on the ground floor.
Well, hey man, he can be our spiritual leader, as Randall Cunningham has been. Where is Randall Cunningham on the logos, Pat?
I think I accidentally deleted it the other day when I was seeing how all this worked. Yeah.
Oh well, no worries. Anyway, let's continue on
again someday, but it'll take a while.
It's all good. All right, gentlemen, I kind of gave you guys the warning that I would be a runaway train to end this segment. Before I get on my soapbox and then jump down the rabbit hole, I want to give you guys this opportunity to give me your predictions of Philadelphia, San Francisco. Bethke, I want you to lead it off.
Game doesn't matter, but we're going to watch it because it's the best game that they're going to give us for a while.
Fair enough. Do you have a winner in this?
Eagles are going to continue winning.
God damn it. All right. Patrick, what do you feel?
Yeah, it should be a fun one. I think it'll come down to the wire. But I think we're going to get something like 34-24 Philadelphia.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for your input. And now here is where I talk about this game. For months now, since the NFC title game, this San Francisco 49ers team has been begging, has been bitching, has been whining, crying their tears, their little hearts out, and that they could have won that game if Brock Purdy never got hurt. If they were allowed to have a third quarterback active, despite the fact that they were already on their backup quarterback, Brock Purdy. They had to go and get Josh Johnson from the trash heap onto the roster. And they thought that they, who have never had luck with quarterback health, could just roll into the playoffs that way. And this terrible mismanagement of your roster by Kyle Shanahan and their general manager, John Lynch. But I'll say this San Francisco 49ers team has done everything they can this offseason to build the team to beat one specific opponent, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. This Eagles team last year, they were the worst possible matchup for the San Francisco 49ers, because what the 49ers lacked was the ability to defend against big explosive plays and quarterbacks who could run. And what did the Eagles have? They had Jalen Hurts. They had A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And what happened in that game? Before Brock Purdy got hurt, the Eagles hung up 21 points on him. They were never close. It was never going to be a close game. They ran into a buzzsaw. And this year, you could say the tables have turned. You could say that the San Francisco 49ers are this year's buzzsaw of a team. Yeah, they had a 3-game skid. They lost 3 games. But prior to that, they went and they took down the Dallas Cowboys, and they didn't even make it close. They wanted to send a message that doesn't matter if it's a winning team or not, they can absolutely hang up huge numbers on the NFL's elites. Now, they have hiccups because of injuries. And you know what's been like a series of a pattern of injury history in San Francisco? And it's the fact that a lot of their best players seem to be the one getting hurt. It's never the average Joes filling the roster. And you guys want to know why that is? I'll tell you why. Because of their head coach, Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, I want you to look at me. I'm talking to you. I'm going to spend the next little bit talking to you. Kyle Shanahan, you are often talked about as one of the best coaches in the NFL. One of the more creative play designers in the league. One of the more gifted offensive minds that we've seen in quite some time. Do you warrant that reputation? Sure, maybe. You know, you've done a lot of things with motion and zone running schemes. If you want to get really nerdy and technical about it, I'm sure there's plenty of people who will sing your praises. Look at me. Not me. Not me. And I'll tell you why. You are too over-reliant, Kyle Shanahan, on your star players that you run them into the ground. Deebo Samuel can't stay healthy. All right, Christian McCaffrey, missed some time. Your quarterbacks, they've missed some time. You make terrible decisions in critical spots. You want to know what your biggest sin was in the NFC title game? You put a backup tight end against an all-pro defensive lineman in Hassan Reddick, and that's why your quarterback got hurt. Listen to me, Kyle Shanahan. You want to win? You want to win this game? You want to prove that you are actually a good head coach? Well, then stop being a coward in the tightest spots. Stop building your team around your system and rather elevate your system through your players without driving them into the ground. Because really, people could tell me all day how you're such a great coach, but you are really just mediocrity cosplaying as greatness when you have done nothing great your entire career. The greatest thing you've ever done is create a 28-3 meme. You were the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, who hung up 28 points. And what happened? You lost. How many points did you end up with? 28. Why? Because you couldn't get it out of your own way. In the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, you couldn't get out of your own way. NFC title game, you couldn't get out of your own way. So what's going to happen now? Your players are going to pay for your sins of mediocrity when they get their shit kicked in on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. They're winning this shit 35-21. Mark it down, boys. They win because the Philadelphia Eagles they have the better coach. He may be a douchebag, but god damn it, he's my douchebag. And Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, look at the passion. Less thinking equals talent take over.
Let's fucking go. And with that said, there's one more thing I want to say, fellas, and that is a happy birthday to our buddy Andrew Bobbitt. And I'm gonna pass the rock on.
Andrew Bobbitt.
I hope that didn't blow you guys' ears out.
No, it's all good. I hope that I lived up to any expectations you guys might have had of me.
Absolutely. I guess that wraps up part 1 of this week. We're gonna take a short break and catch us in part 2.
I did.
Part 2 of my confession.